Never judge a book by its cover. Never judge a book by its cover. How everybody doing today? This is Mr. Amen, and this is a Let Them Know Media production. So, you see the title, you see the name. Never judge a book by its cover. Why? Because underestimating what somebody else knows, what somebody else, can do. By underestimating these people, you sell yourself short of from being able to communicate properly, to engage with people, to put yourself in position. Because you might look at somebody, you might say, well, they don't look like they doing nothing with their life. And you might be saying that about a multi-millionaire, right? You might look at a person and you might say to yourself, they don't know what they're talking about. And these people could be CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, and they just not well known in the public. There is people out here in the world that don't like to televise their whole lifestyle. Some people just don't have to do that. Some people just don't need to do that. You walking down the street, you got an attitude, you try to cuss somebody out, and the person that you trying to cuss out is an MMA fighter. And so now you walking home with a black eye because you thought that the guy that was walking in front of you was 135 pounds, and you thought you was going to bully this guy, and you end up walking away with a black eye. You know, we should never in our lives underestimate people. You know, never judge a book by its cover. So when I was growing up, my grandma, she used to tell me, always do right by people because you never know when you're going to need them. If you try to play somebody, or a lot of times what we say these days is when you try somebody, you mess around and find out. And so why put yourself in a position where you're going to mess around and find out because you underestimate what somebody else knows? You know, one of the examples that I like to bring up is I like to watch a lot of true crime, right? I like to watch a lot of true crime because though I'm so focused in my career and, my job for right now, that I don't really have enough time to see what's going on in the world. I don't watch a lot of news, but I do love to watch true crime. And one thing that I've learned about watching true crime is that there's a lot of people committing crimes and still out here in 2025, right? 2025, a lot of people is out here committing crimes and feeling like they're not going to get caught. Like, how are you out here doing stuff and still thinking that you're not going to get caught? That is the weirdest thing in the world to me, is that you see women killing their husbands for life insurance policies, and these women think that they're not going to get caught. You got husbands doing it to their wives, and these husbands think they're not going to get caught, right? And right now there's a real crazy video surfacing on the internet with a man, being really violent with a woman on an elevator. It's a real sad video. But all of this was caught on camera, and this person is locked up facing time, right? Why do things where you feel like you can get away with it? Why underestimate what your emotionality can do to you? Why do you think that if you're not in control of yourself in some type of shape, form, or fashion, that doesn't lead to a path of something happening to you, right? Something happening to you. And so, what we should be out here focused on doing is doing right by each other. We should do things that, that comes back to us the same way that we give it. We shouldn't be trying to do things just to try to get away with it. And it's a lot of trying to get away with stuff out here in the world. And, you know, it's already tough enough just living in this society and just trying to, wake up every day, go to work and make the best out of it and pay your bills and make sure that there's food on the table and making sure you got gas in your car. It's enough going on for us to judge a book by its cover and underestimate the many different scenarios that come to us every single day. So, what we need to try to focus on is doing right for ourselves and doing right for each other and making the best out of everything that comes our way. I got a video that I made. Check it out. And it's called Pushing Forward, right? You got to push forward. You got to make sure you're consistent, which I got another video called The Power of Consistency. You know, I think that if we apply different powers that we have, different universal laws that guarantees our success, we don't have to underestimate anybody. We don't have to judge a book by its cover. Because there's a lot of people that you look at and you be like, oh man, that's a short man right there, or that's a short lady. But they out here doing big things though. They out here doing big things, right? And you just never know. And there's a whole plethora of, you know, fascinating and beautiful things going on with individuals when you just open up your eyes and look and allow yourself to see people for who they truly are and not for what you're trying to do with them, right? So let's do right by each other. Do right by your neighbor. Let's create a situation that everybody can win. Let's put ourselves in win-win situations, win-win for everybody. I know that sounds really hard, but I can guarantee you that it is very possible. It's very possible for us to do that for each other, right? And so, you know, what I talked about is not judging a book by its cover. What I talked about is not underestimating your opponent. Because when you do that, somebody has to win, somebody has to lose. So let's not judge a book by its cover. There's a lot of greatness in every individual that you come into, you know, into their presence. So, if I end with this, I end with, you know, not only just not judging a book by its cover, but, accepting people for who they are, you know, and putting you and that person in a win-win situation. And, if anything else, I would like to say to everybody that's watching this video that if we start doing these things right here, we can move together as a unit. And you will understand that everybody, has their own perspective. And I remember in Hustle and Flow, the guy said, everybody has a verse. Everybody deserves a verse. And that's very true. And is as long as we give people the path to be able to do what they do, then we can all win. So let's do that. Let's not judge a book by its cover. Let's open up that book and let's read the different chapters of that book, right? And let's learn from each other and let's share with one another and let's move forward. All right? If y'all understand this, please like and subscribe. if y'all love what I'm doing, if y'all enjoy the videos that I'm coming out with, if y'all enjoy the education, the motivation, and the inspiration that I try my best to put in all my videos, please share this and comment so I know how y'all feel. Let's engage with each other and let's share, right? And so, I want to just say to everybody, thank you. I'm almost at 250 subscribers, and y'all don't know how that makes me feel, and I really appreciate everybody that subscribes. All right? Everybody have a blessed day. All right? Peace.